Now for the bottom board, and y'all should like this even better. This is even simpler. Same size, 9 5/8 wide, 19 7/8 long, 2 18 3/8 by 3/4 by 3/8 shim, 1 9 5/8 by 3/4 by 3/8 shim. And really, you can just leave the front open the way I build them. I can. Or I can take 2 little scraps out of my pile here and close it off if I want to make it look pretty. I am going to glue this, not because it's necessarily structural, but just because it's the only support it has. On this bottom board, I'm not putting any end caps on it like I would on a top cover. I'm gambling on the weight of the box holding this down. So when I make these fresh and I keep them in storage, I always keep them stacked up with a weight on top. And then, of course, yeah, once the hive body sits on top of them, that should be enough weight to keep it from warping. But we're going to slap a bead of glue on her here just to be double safe. So this, where I put the full 9 5/8 strip, this would be basically the back of your box. So, whoops, gonna nail it. Again, we're using 1-inch long staples. And this will give you a little bit of support. Adding this one little strip should give it a little bit of support to help warping. But since you're putting flat on flat, it's not really going to prevent anything. Not near as much as putting on a face board would. So, get our glue on there. Make it look pretty. Like I said, I'm going to put a few more nails in this one just because it's the only support that I have. But I really don't think it's all that critical. Alright, so let me show you how this would look if I just put my box straight on here. Not sure how well y'all can see that gap. Yeah, not too bad. So this gap underneath here is 3/8 of an inch high. Your bee space is 3/8 of an inch, right? Probably for bottom boards, what most people want to do would be a 3/4. But you don't have to. A half would be more than enough. 3/8 should, by definition, be enough that any bee in the hive can get through that. You know, a drone, or even the drone or the queen can get through that. But what I typically do with my 5-frame boxes is I cut a hole on them anyway, where I put an entrance disc on there. So I'm not too worried about it. I've got all these little scraps and bits here. I am going to put the corner shims just to give support to the box. I'll put my little corner bits, but the width of that gap doesn't matter. You can make it full width if you want. The biggest thing is just giving them a way to get in and out. So let me just get those nailed on just so you can see, and I can tell you that I did it. And like I said, I like to just use random little scraps. Give a little bit of glue here. It's something that makes the box feel more complete. Now some people want to complain and say, well, you know, you didn't, or there's not enough space. You know, you have that narrow little slot for the bees to get in. There's not enough space. Well, look up Ralph Jones on YouTube. I think his name's like R Jones 3 and Family or something like that. All of his boxes are set up with a slot that's only about 3/4 by 2 to 3 inches wide, and his hives do great. I've done removals on plenty of colonies. You know, y'all can see all my removal videos. I've done removals on plenty of colonies where they're getting in through a hole no bigger than 1 bee space, a little tiny hole, you know, 3/8 in diameter. That's all they've got, and there's a huge booming colony behind it. So this narrow little slot, to me, that's more than enough. You don't need a big fancy entrance. You don't need the landing board and all that. I mean, sure, the bees will use it and it looks cute, but they don't need it. So yeah, that's pretty simple there if you ask me. Like I said, I know that gap's big enough for a queen to crawl through, so I don't really need to do any more with it. We'll see how they work. They should be just fine. From the ones I've run so far, they work great. So